my God, it's been 3 months since my last episode. I'm so sorry. I know my last episode I talked about the acquittal of Kyle Rittenhouse on all charges, and then at some point right after that I started watching a press conference in which I was waiting for President Biden to say something with some kind of substance and even have a coherent thought, and then I fell asleep for like 3 months. In all seriousness, I had to take some time off, get a couple of things straight, both on the work front and on the home front, but I'm back. I'm the CommonSensei, and welcome back to another episode of the I'm Just Sayin video podcast, where I serve as your tour guide through this minefield of liberal idiocy, ridiculousness, and stupidity. Welcome back. I want to thank Shondi for messaging Deborah and asking about the podcast. Hey, where is it? I miss it. You know what? You're a motivator, and it's people just like you that make this possible. I do this for patriots just like yourself and all those that are watching this right now. So thank you, Shondi, and thanks to all of you who support this podcast. I really appreciate it. All right, so let's get to what's important. I've got my Black Rifle coffee. Oh, 3 months is too long. And let's rock. All right, so a lot has gone on since my last podcast episode. There's been a Supreme Court justice that has been nominated. There has been the invasion of the Ukraine by Russia. The State of the Union address happened. So there's been a ton that's been going on, and I'm not going to address all of it in this episode. It'll just take too long. In fact, what I'm trying to do is cut my episodes down a little bit in time to make it a little bit easier to view the episodes, as opposed to them dragging out for so long. But, okay, I will address some of the things that were talked about in the State of the Union. President Biden said that the State of the Union is fantastic. The economy's doing great. Everything's wonderful. Everybody's happy. Yay, America. Not even close. Inflation right now is the highest it's been in over 40 years, which means that the American dollar is not worth nearly as much as it was, I don't know, a little over a year ago. So inflation, that's going on. Now let's talk about the price of gas. Now the price of gas in a little over a year ago, when Trump was still in office, the average price of gas in America was $2.17. Now recently, as the Biden administration has tried to explain away the price of gas rising, and I mean rising very quickly, they said, well, it's Putin's fault. It's Putin's fault. Putin invaded Ukraine, and that is why the price of gas has gone up. Let's examine that a little bit for a second, shall we? Why would Putin invading Ukraine have anything to do with the price of gas in America? I'm glad you asked. See, a little over a year ago, the United States was completely energy independent. We drilled our own oil. In fact, we had so much oil, we were actually exporting it to other countries, making a lot of money, and pouring that money back into the economy of the United States. Okay? Now, fast forward to the Biden administration. The Biden administration shut down the XL Keystone Pipeline. Now, the problem with that was oil production in the United States just completely dumped. Did you know that we have 400, that's right, 400 less drilling sites now than we did when Biden was elected? That's a problem. We are no longer energy independent. And the problem with that is this. Now we have to get our oil from somewhere else. So what did the administration do? They green-lighted a pipeline for Russia so that Russia could move and sell oil, making billions upon billions upon billions of dollars on American taxpayers. That's right, we import our oil from Russia. Let me take that back. No, we don't. Not anymore, because Russia invaded Ukraine. That is why the price of gas has gone up. The reason why it's gone up is because we were buying all this oil that we used to produce ourselves from Russia. Once Russia invaded Ukraine, then that oil supply dropped off. So guess what? It's a supply and demand issue. There's not a large enough supply, so the demand is high and the prices go up. Now, we go crawling right back to the Saudis. We go crawling right back to OPEC. Hey, can we have some oil? Yeah. In fact, it's going to be between $90 and $130 per barrel. Here's the other part of this. You know, liberals are always talking about the environment. They're always talking about how we need clean energy and clean air and clean water. Well, you know what? When we were producing our own oil, we had some kind of say-so on how that production of oil affected our environment. Russian oil is dirty. Do you think Russia cares about the environment? No. They care about the money. So by us going to buy oil from Russia, we helped finance the army that ended up invading Ukraine. That is what spiked the price of oil. That is what spiked the price of gasoline in the United States. And like I said, when Trump was still in office, it was $2.17 on average in America for a gallon of gas. In January, and this is before the Russians invaded Ukraine, it had spiked to $3.37 a gallon. I thought this was a Putin issue. I thought Putin was the reason why the price of gasoline in the United States went up. How is it that the price of gas went up $1.20 even before the Russians invaded Ukraine? I'll tell you why. It's because we're dependent on foreign oil again. We're not producing oil domestically. We're not energy independent. This isn't a Putin issue. This is an administration issue. This is a Biden issue. This is a Democrat liberal issue. And we're all going to pay the price. The funny thing is, now the Democrats want to put through legislation to give each and every American a check for $300 a month in order to offset the price of gas. Does that fix the price of gas? No. And with inflation, that $300 isn't worth near as much as it was about a year and a half ago. Here's the other problem with it. All the taxpayers in this country are now going to have to pay more taxes in order for the federal government to redistribute all that money so that everyone can buy a little bit of extra gas. I guess what they're trying to do is make us feel better. But what they should be doing is forget the $300 stimulus gas checks and drill our own oil. For the love of God, let's get back to energy independence. And now the current price of gas, $4.41 a gallon. You got to be frickin' kidding me. Anyways, I digress. So the State of the Union is not all that great, folks. It really isn't, okay? We've already talked about inflation. We've talked about the price of gas. We've talked about our dependence on foreign oil. We talked about a little bit about Russia invading Ukraine. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely believe that that we should stand by the Ukrainians for their freedom. Now, that doesn't mean we should send in troops. We should absolutely not send ground troops into Ukraine. However, we can give them a little bit of money. We can arm them, all that kind of stuff. I get all that. That's wonderful. We should stand by them. But here's an idea. If we spend as much time and energy and money on protecting our own border as we do protecting other people's borders, we'd probably be a lot better off. You see, during the Trump administration, President Trump asked for $4 billion in order to build a wall on our southern border to keep people from coming to this country illegally. We had no idea who was coming into this country, and we still don't. There are millions upon millions of illegal immigrants here. Now, I'm not going to get into all the politics of that and, who's from what country or what ethnicity and all that kind of stuff. I'm not worried about all that right now. But what I am saying is this. That was $4 billion. Recently, we gave $13.6 billion to the Ukrainians. I'm all for supporting Ukraine, but $13.6 billion on somebody else's border? And then after we gave them that, we additionally, about a week or two ago, gave them an additional $800 million. This is money that we could be using. This is money that we could be using, I don't know, maybe to get drilling going again. I don't know, maybe to help with inflation. I don't know, maybe to help with our own border. Pick a topic. Pick something, okay, that you would like that money to go to. I'm not saying we don't need to give them any money, but $13.6 billion with an $800 million kicker? Wrong answer. Anyway, look, crime is up. We have weak foreign policy, okay? Biden just told the world on international television that Putin cannot remain in power. Then they backtrack that. Oh, well, I didn't mean it. It was emotional and all that kind of stuff. Listen, you're the president of the United States, man. You cannot say things like that and not have something to back it up. And if you don't intend on regime change, and I'm not saying we should intend on regime change, but if you don't intend on it, then don't talk about it, okay? Putin's got a couple screws loose, and the last thing you want to do is frazzle that guy any more than he already is, especially since his finger's on the button. What a moron. Anyways, look, we got narcotics flowing over the border. We have already talked about the open border. We've got wokeness everywhere where somehow a man that grows his hair long and does the tuck and puts on a woman's swimsuit somehow is an NCAA swimming champion. Look, just because you want to be a woman doesn't make it so, all right? If you want to be a woman, great. I have no problem with that. You can identify as a woman, you can have the surgery, you can put on whatever you want, wear whatever you want, just don't cram it down our throats. And for the love of God, do not act like you're some kind of champion in the swimming pool against women when you're actually a man. This whole idea of all this wokeness, all this liberal policy that is putting us in the tank financially, it's destroying the very fiber of who we are as Americans. I'm not saying that we all got to agree. I'm not saying that we all have to look the same, that we all have to sound the same. But we all need to look at the big picture. And the big picture here is the State of the Union is a disaster. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Midterms are coming up. If you voted for Biden and you voted for a Democrat just because you didn't like Trump, okay, I get it. But how's that working out for you? I would absolutely take a couple of mean tweets right now in order to have the economy back intact, inflation low, and gas that doesn't cost me a second mortgage. Listen, vote for people because of their policies, not because you just don't like the other guy. All right? Now, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Went off on a little bit of a tirade, but I'm going to keep it short, and I'm going to drop another video here in a couple of days. Again, I appreciate you tuning in, and thanks for being a part of the I'm Just Sayin video podcast. I'm the CommonSensei. We'll see you next time.